All right, let's do this. Excellent. Looks like we're all rocking and rolling on a Friday night, guys. Friday night freestyle in the building. My goodness, we're gonna have a good time. I think this brush is no longer usable. So you know what we're gonna do today? We're gonna say goodbye to a couple brushes because we got some brand new brushes. So let's say goodbye to this old nasty brush. Give him his last little beat the devil out of it moment, and this brush is going bye-bye. We don't need that brush anymore. Same with this one. These two have had their run, and they've offered us some great landscapes and came up with some great paintings, but we're gonna get rid of these old nasty brushes today. Maybe we'll give them away to a fan. Does anybody want these old things? I mean, you can't really paint with them. They're not really good for painting, but maybe we'll do a giveaway and give these guys away. Depends on what you guys tell me. So tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? And my goodness, just look at the difference between a brand new guy and this old guy. They shrink a little bit in their old age and they change color, right? So we'll be using these brand new ones today. They're gonna be fantastic. You guys are gonna tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? And we're gonna have a good time this evening. Man, season 4, episode 1 of Friday Night Freestyle. My goodness, we're gonna have fun. So as you can see, I like to show you guys every single piece of action that we do. Now, what we're doing is it doesn't look like we're doing anything, but we're putting our liquid white paint on the canvas. Right here, watch, I'll show you. See that? Swipe it right over that dark. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your dark nice and dark. So, don't do what Josh does all the time. I just show you guys a couple little things. Just for the viewers watching, right? Little bits, taking our white, kind of sliding it down, getting it down into that last bit of white area, not coming too far into our darkness, right? And then we'll just crisscross back and forth, and then I'll show you how to test. Because you gotta do a little testing, right? We'll be a scientist. We'll do a little test just to show how much liquid white we have on our canvas, and I'll show you how to do it as well. So, tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? Man, we're gonna have fun tonight. It's Friday, it's the weekend, guys. How was your week? What did you get up to at work? Crazy! We've got so much news to talk about that I can't talk about right now. Very, very, very big things could possibly be on the horizon for the Paint with Josh channel, and man, I'm excited about it. I am excited about it. But we're not going to talk about it until we're able to, right? That's how we do things around here. So, now that we've got our canvas nice and covered, this is how you test it. You touch the canvas, and you want to have a little bit of white on your finger. Not all goopy and globby, just a little bit of our liquid white. It's a very very wet, runny paint. Very runny, like milk. You don't want to tip this jar over, let me tell you that. And that's what it looks like. If nobody knows, or if you've never seen it before, Bob Ross liquid white, it does wonders on the canvas, right? Josh paints the wet on wet technique. And yes, I talk about myself in the third person now. No. I like to paint the wet on wet technique, which means we take wet paint from our palette, right? All this paint is wet. It's very dry, thick paint, right? It's not runny wet paint, but it's very dry, thick paint, but it is wet. If we touch it, get it on your finger, right? So we take a wet paint and we put it onto a wet surface. And in that instance, in this instance anyway, it's our canvas. So now that we've taken our brush, we've dried it off, we've dabbed it, now we're gonna come in and we can decide whether or not we paint a sunset or a blue sky or whatever we do. But you guys tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? And we're gonna have a good time. This is a big old monster canvas too. Let's see. All right, man, I love you, Madrid. I love you guys. So let's have a good time. Let's do a sunset. I haven't done a sunset in a long time. We haven't done one this big in a long time. So let's get our brightest yellow color. We're gonna come in here. Maybe drop a little bit of our brightest yellow down in here. Oh yeah, oh guys. Look at how bright yellow that is. And because that liquid white is on the canvas, it allows it to blend super easily and slide around. Now we're gonna go into our yellow ochre and our bit of red. It creates this much darker yellowish orangey color. We're gonna come around the side. It's like a dusky brownish orangish color. Look at that. Oh, leave that little bit of white in between. Doesn't all have to be the same all the time. Now let's go into more red. We're going to more red, just straight up red on this side. Didn't wash the brush, just went into more red paint, all right? That way we can allow all these colors to mix and blend and change. Now we're progressively working darker. Let's go into our crimson, which would be our next darkest color. Grab some of that crimson. Oh yeah, it's a much deeper, darker red. And this is the lazy man's way of painting, right? If you go in this order, you don't have to wash your brush until we get done. There we go, right? So a little bit of crimson, make sure we get it on the edge, out there, right? And look, all depends on how much crimson or how much paint you put on your canvas. You could cover all these rocks and cover all of this black. Really doesn't matter. All right, now let's come in here, a little bit more of our crimson-y bit, because you almost have to have a bit of that crimson color in between your yellow and your blue, right? We're gonna take any bit of blue out here, take our Prussian blue and our Phthalo blue straight onto the brush. Again, haven't cleaned the brush since we started putting color on it. And if you go in this progression of color, you get this gorgeous little sunset and everything blends together nicely. Look at that. Leave that little bit of white out there. You don't need everything to be all exactly the same. A little bit of blue, a little bit of our black. Just a touch, because it'll grow real far. You guys know with the amount of paint that we put on the canvas, then based off of that pressure, right, that thing will grow super far. So be very careful with what we do. A little bit more of our straight up black to make it a little bit darker up here. And watch this, a little bit more of our crimson too. Right on top of the brush, right on top of that other color. It's a much deeper, darker, purplyish color, right? Now, we're gonna come back in and go crazy with our brush. So let's clean this old guy off. And we're gonna get a really cool little cleaning show today because we've had a few days for the paint thinner cup to settle. So now it's pretty clear. And I'll show you, right, when we take our brush, right, into the jar. You don't need a glass jar. I only use one because it's clear and it shows you guys what it does. We're gonna go about 1/4 inch into the solution and then twist. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's so cool. Literally the coolest thing ever. Just literally the coolest thing ever. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna spin it inside the jar. And that allows all the paint to wrap itself around the side and fall back down, keeping our house nice and clean. Then we're gonna shake it into a can, a couple, 5, 6 times, right? You can still see there's still some color into the brush, and that's okay. That's where we beat the devil out of it into the bucket. Boom, comes out nice and clean, just like that, right? Always dab it on a paper towel though, always. All right, now I don't think we need to do much else. I couldn't, there's one step that I didn't do before we to turn the cameras on, and that's after you put this liquid clear onto your black section where it's all wet and slick. Sometimes it gets to be too much, so take a bit of a paper towel, just wipe away that excess clear, right? Just any excess clear. We don't have any undercolors or anything on the canvas yet. We don't really need undercolors for this one besides down around here at the bottom, but we'll put that on later. Now that we've got our brush all cleaned and dried and ready to go, bing, bang, boom, right? We're gonna start into our lightest area and just start backwards and forwards, just messing around. The more you mix it in with that white, the lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter it's gonna get, right? Take some more yellow, pull it down over here, pull it to this side, right? All with our pressure, we get to decide how far it gets to grow. Watch this, now that red's really gonna wanna start to come down with our little crisscrossies, right? Back and forth, we can decide how far we wanna drag that color down. Watch this, out into our orange, pulling it down into the yellow. Look at that pressure. You can string it all the way down if you want to, totally up to you. You stop whenever it looks good to you. It's not about what it looks like to me or how yours looks versus, you know, your friends or the person sitting right next to you doing the same painting, right? It's not about that. It's not a competition. It's almost like golf. You ever played golf? You're not playing against the person you're playing with. You're playing against the course, right? You're playing against yourself, against your best score you've ever had. That's what you're playing against. So, doesn't have to look like anybody else's, just has to look like yours. All right, now as we come up here into this blue, we're gonna start to pull it down, right, very lightly at first, kind of getting it to mix in over there, start to drag it in. Now, with our as we get our brush into that color, it's gonna go darker and darker, which means don't come back down into here unless you wanna have a couple little dark clouds floating off into your sky out there like that, right? A little far away little thing. We'll fix it later. So, back up into here, right where the colors are mixing. Back and forth, crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. All it does is just blend those colors together, right? If you have mobility issues with your wrist and you can't crisscross, watch this. Go in one direction, right? One direction, and then go in the other direction. We're still crisscrossing. We're just doing it at different times. It's still mixing the paint the same way. So don't worry about your mobility. Paint with Josh has got you. Got you, got you. Look at all those colors, just gorgeous. Gorgeous. And because we've spread it out and we don't have so much paint on the brush, you can literally go across the whole thing and not carry all those dark colors down into our brightness, right? Very cool. Now let's wash that brush off. Remember guys, you can go buy this painting. If you go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com, this painting can be yours. It's available for sale. Search for number 872. That's how many paintings we've done. 872 paintings. So this one's gonna be really neat. You know what, I wanna get it a little darker up into our sky too. It's just not dark enough. You know, when you put that liquid white up there, it tends to make all your other colors a bit brighter. So let's get a little bit more of our paint, a little bit more of our crimson, a little bit more of the black. Right in there, gonna mix them up and pull it in from the top. See, I didn't change it too much, but it did get a bit darker. That's what you wanna do. You wanna work it in slowly. Don't go crazy, right? We can always add more paint. What do I always say, guys? We can always add more paint. You can never what? Once it's up there, you can never do what? You guys tell me in the comments if you know. You can always add more. You can never, does anybody know? What do we know? Take it away, says Amber over here on TikTok, and pin your comment. Everybody go follow Amber now. You can never take it away once it's up there. But you can always add and add and add and add. So go slowly is the key. Right? Very light little things. Blending it down, taking some of the darkness, bringing it down to our very, very, very brightest point down here. Almost looks like a little UFO cloud off in the distance. Right? And if we didn't like that guy, let's just literally blend him away very lightly. Taking our darkness, working it in, all the way down to wherever you want to have it, guys. Totally up to you. But all depends on the paint that's on the brush, right? So every so often, go back and either clean off your brush or get a clean, dry one. Come back in here. Look at this now, guys. Start working from the light area upward, and then don't go back down. Spreading it, mixing it, blending it, just like we do the makeup, ladies. Come on. And everybody knows. Bang, very lightly. Just like that. Very cool. Now let's put in some clouds way off in the distance back here. So we're gonna wash our brush off again. You guys are gonna tell me where you're watching from and what's your favorite sandwich. Gotta tell me. All right. Is this your very first time watching a Friday night freestyle show? Let me know in the comments. This is the 4th season, probably the 100 or 110th episode of Friday Night Freestyle. Which basically means that Josh has no life. I'm up here every Friday painting for you guys who also have no life, who are sitting at home watching me paint on Fridays, right? So, I love you all. You know, boo to the club and boo to being sociable around other people. Let's all stay in our houses and watch Josh paint. I'm totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. Okay, look at this gorgeous sky, you guys. Okay, now remember, if you weren't here in the beginning of the show, we said goodbye to 2 old friends. These brushes no longer really work for me. So I was thinking about giving these away, maybe having like a, I don't know, like a little giveaway if you go to paintwithjosh.com or something, and then we'll register or whatever, and then put your name in a hat and draw it out or something. If you want these old brushes, I don't know if you do. I would throw them in the garbage if it was me, but somebody had commented the other day and said that, man, I'd take your old stuff if it was me. And I was like, well, maybe you're not the only one. Maybe somebody else could use these or wants them. You don't have to paint with them. Maybe put them in a frame. I don't know. Do whatever you want. But let me know. Would you guys want some old brushes, or should I just chuck those in the garbage? Let's see. First time watching, says Sylvia Young over on Facebook. Thank you. Phoenix, Arizona, 119. Oh my. I know that Arizona is hotter than Las Vegas, where we are, right? It was 113 degrees today, and I thought I was going to pass out. It was so dang hot. So 6 more degrees on top of that, I might have passed out. It's probably not even might. It's most definitely would have probably perished in 119 degrees. So, and I also had a comment over, I think it was on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere, where the person said, oh my God, I tried out this sun technique and it totally works. Like, I instantly subscribed. You're the best, keep painting. And I was like, cool. So we'll teach people how to do that again. Grab our little sun onto our filbert brush, right? Just the one side, not the back side, just the front side. And let's decide, and we'll go, who knows? Let's put our sun about right there, right into our brightness. And then we're gonna rotate to the left. Watch those bristles spin around, and they make this perfect circle. As long as you're pushing flat enough to keep them extended all the way. Spin, make this gorgeous little sun way off there. Don't have to get your finger dirty. Don't have to use your thumb. And you don't have to take too long. You literally, watch, I'll show you. Let me dry this brush off real quick. And try to show everybody here, right? You push it in flat, and then you spin it like this, pushing it flat, and then poof, you get a perfect little circle, right? It's not rocket science. I just try to find the easiest way to teach you guys how to do stuff. Because I think if it's easy, you're gonna keep doing it, and you're gonna wanna do it more often and more often and more often. So, let's make it easy and let's have some fun. Let's see, let's get a little bit of our white onto our fan brush right over here. Just a touch of white, because when we're so close to the sun and that bright yellow area, you don't need a whole lot of shadowing. Right, so we'll come in here and maybe, who knows, we'll just start popping them in. And remember, the sun's underneath our clouds, so it's gonna light up the bottom side. We're gonna have to throw some shadows around the back, the top, right? You don't have to do too much. You don't have to get too crazy. Don't have to do anything, really. Take our 1-inch brush. Come in here just very lightly, start making circles very lightly. Just so soft, right? Because the more we push on it, the more it's gonna blend away and completely disappear. We all know that. We all know that. Now, let's come in here, since we're up into this kind of orangish reddish section, let's get our yellow ochre and a bit of our bright red onto the brush. Right over there, maybe just a squidge, just a little touch of crimson, and we'll come back in behind this guy, kind of right over the top. Not too much paint, right? Not too much. And then we're gonna blend it back away from the cloud like this. Pushing it, pulling it back away. And that way you have that darkness back there behind your cloud. We could have done it first. You could have done it before you did your white section. Yeah, you could have, but we didn't. There we go. Popped a little bit more white in there. Throw it off in a different direction, right? Give it a little bit more body, more depth, more feel, more brightness, more colors, more texture, everything, right? Just right out there like that. Take our 1-inch brush, haven't washed it. It's got all the color from the initial mixing. Now that we've put more paint up onto the canvas, we're gonna go lighter pressure. Gotta go light pressure. That way it'll stay nice and bright. The more we mix it, the more it'll disappear. So very, very light, very light. Bang, just like that. Watch this, let's fit down here. Literally pulling it straight sideways. You get it to blend in with the sky no matter where it is. And you got these very cool far off little things. Now, why not with the same brush and that little bit of excess color that we had up here, pop in this extra bit, which may end up being covered down by our trees anyway, which is, I mean, most definitely gonna be covered by the trees that we put down there. But just to show you, you could do some more clouds. We'll come in here like that and just start mixing them up. And it's got that little touch of pink because we had our brush contacting up here, so you get that very light little shadowing down there. Gorgeous. Now I almost don't want to put trees there just because our clouds turned out so good, right? Okay, let's wash off these fan brushes. Gonna wash them off into the can, into the bucket, beat the crap out of them, just like that. I did the other one too. This one got really red, but we're gonna end up, I mean, actually, we don't even need to really wash it because we're gonna end up making it darker anyway. So let's go into the crimson paint. There's that darker red color. Instantly made it darker like that. Get a little touch of blue, a little touch of black. Right there, gonna make our dark, shadowy color that we normally make for our mountains and trees and all sorts of stuff. We'll go through it later, don't worry. Now, come up into here where our red and our purple sort of meet, that little line that's right there. And then we toss off just a whole big bunch of that purpley nastiness. Just crazy. You gotta make those noises though, or it doesn't work, I'm telling you. I'm telling you it doesn't work. Looks like a little cicada beetle out there at the end, like the little Egyptian beetles. Now we're gonna take these guys very lightly. Well, I mean, I say very lightly, it all depends, really. It all depends on our pressure, right? So if it starts to blend away into that same color of the sky, touch it with less pressure. It'll stay darker, right? If you want it to blend away a bit more and start to lighten up, hit it with more pressure, and it'll mix all with that liquid white that's on the canvas and all the colors underneath it. And you want a mess. That's exactly what you want, just a disgusting mess up there, right? Just a filthy, foul, just a mess of paint. That if you were literally, you know, trying to grade it, you'd be like, what? What is that? That's exactly what you want. That's the face. That's the face you want. The what? Really? That? Yes, that. That is what you want to have. A little bit more of our darkness out here. Just like that. Be the stormy cloud. Every time we do dark clouds, my pirate accent comes out. Are ye stormy clouds? Oh, man. Okay, right out here. I'm trying to be in the next Pirates of the Caribbean, all right? Don't hate. Don't hate. Okay, just like this. Very lightly. Get that darkness out there, right? You don't even have to highlight it. I swear on my life. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. I look at the clouds all the time. All the time I'm looking at the clouds. Literally, you could see this, brightness and darkness, right? It could literally be in the shadow of that whole cloud. There's tons of things that can make it stay dark like that. But we're gonna come in and brighten it up just a little bit. Little bit. You don't have to do it, right? Yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Maybe underneath, a bit of that white, along the bottom of our cloud up there, right? Just like that. Now we're gonna take that brightness and we're gonna blend it down until we think it looks good, and then we're gonna stop. Now, I'm gonna start doing, normally I go counterclockwise circles, right? Because we'd like to take it and bring it down, and I like to bring it down that way, right? So in this instance, we're gonna go clockwise circles, grabbing the paint and dragging it up into that shadow. Just like that, very softly, very lightly. We get to decide what it looks like, little circles, pop, 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 pop. Then we'll go back the other way with our little counterclockwise circles, mix them up even more, right? Now, that kind of looks funky, didn't get mixed enough, which is fine. Hit it a little harder with our pressure, right? Oh, look at that, right? Just automatically, a little bit extra pressure changes it. Now, if you do too much pressure, it'll make it disappear and blend all the way away. So you've got to decide what you want it to look like, right? And let's put this guy over here. We'll clean off these brushes real quick. And then we'll get to our trees and our waterfall and our grassy meadow. It's gonna be fantastic. A little summer scene got planned for you. We've been doing a lot of winter scenes because out here in Las Vegas, it's 115 degrees. And I wanna sort of escape the heat, and I can only do that in my painting. So we've been painting a lot of winter scenes. But this one's gonna be a nice grassy summer scene. A little meadow, a little walkway down around a river and a waterfall. It's gonna be fantastic, guys. Just awesome. So let's get our tools clean. Gotta have clean tools if we're gonna get it going. Gotta do it. Now, let's see. Down into here. All right, remember, every time we're washing the brushes, that's your guys' time to tell me where you're watching from, what's your favorite sandwich, and all that stuff. Because we love to know. Oh man, I'm totally changing my whole idea about the trees back here just because this little cloud looks so gorgeous. We're still gonna have some, just not gonna have as many as I wanted. Just because, and that's what happens with a Paint with Josh painting. We'll be going and you've got an idea that you want to do for a long time, and then all of a sudden you start doing it and then you see something different and you change. That's what it's all about. Changing what you're gonna do. You don't have to do it the same way all the time, right? Doesn't always have to be the same. All right, let's see where you guys are watching from. Woo! Let's see. Remember, everybody all over on YouTube. Let's see. You guys are you complaining about the angle over here on YouTube? Is that what I'm seeing? You guys want to be more of a straight on angle? Let's see. Oh, please, get out of here. Right, you can go check it out on Facebook or TikTok if you don't like the angle, but they're all pretty much angled exactly the same. That's about as good as it's gonna get. So, let's see. The reason that it's on an angle for the YouTube crew, by the way, everything happens for a reason. It's so you can see the brush touch the canvas versus over here on TikTok, which is further over on this side, the brush is behind my hand. So, all depends on what you wanna see. Right? You want to see more of a frontal view of the entire canvas, go to a different platform. If you want to see what the brush is actually doing on the canvas, go over to YouTube. YouTube is for teaching purposes. So, let's see. Now we're going to come in, we're going to grab up this big old monster palette. We're going to come over here, we're going to make up our dark color just right onto the brush. Doesn't even matter. So a bit of our blue, a bit of our crimson, a bit of the black, right in there. Making this dark mixture way out there. And then I'm going to come in with this darkness. Right, and start to shape out what I wanted my little rock guy to look like up here. Popping him out, little details, just mushing it on. Right, a little bit over there, maybe there's a little flat spot out there for the eagle's nest. Right out there. Come drop it down, right along the edge. Pop, 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 pop. Very cool. All we're doing is bringing our rock back into the foreground, right? The reason we use this black gesso is because it stays very dark back here where we need it to be. Need it to be darkest back there in the corner, right? So we're gonna take all of our dark color, kind of cover up all those little bright brush marks, and we get our little dark mountain that's now popped right out back in front of this guy, right? Very cool. So Cover up his edge over there. Now we're gonna take our palette knife and do all sorts of craziness and rocks and all sorts of stuff on that guy. So don't worry about that. And we're gonna come in here, grab a little bit more of our black and our crimson and our blue. And remember guys, if you haven't seen the UFO Mountains hat that we offer in the store, they're pretty cool. It doesn't say anything to do with Paint with Josh. It's just a little couple mountains and a UFO hanging out there. So if that's something you like, go over to the Paint with Josh store, go check out paintwithjosh.com, and then you'll find the Etsy store right there. All right, let's take our brush. We're gonna come in here, drop a little tree, right down there. Maybe he's got a little friend, bang, right by the sun, just so close. Just like that. Make sure we got enough paint onto our brush. Always gotta have enough paint on the brush. That's the #1 P, right? We're gonna come in here with just the corner of the brush. We're gonna start to tap upwards. And we're gonna tap and tap and tap, right? That creates our little tree trunks, our little branches. They start to come out. And this is what it looks like from behind my hand. And we have it down there. By the time we get to the bottom, we're using the entire brush and all the bristles, right? So the brush handle is very straight compared to the tree. Versus over here, when we start, we're just using the corner to tap those little branches in, right? Filling in that little bit of dark space. All it is a dark space. You don't have to have a bunch of details. It's just a bit of darkness. That's where all of our little critters live, right? That's what Bob always used to say. It's where the critters live. You can't cover up all those dark spaces. Now, just in there, a couple little taps. Little taps, little taps, little taps. Pop, 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 right? Making all these little branchies come out. And like I said, we're gonna come back and do our bit of our rocks, and then we'll finish this little guy all the way down, right? So, very neat. Let's make up some colors of some gorgeous rocky bits, right? So we'll do our brown over here, our dark sienna brown, a bit of our Van Dyke brown, which is the darker color. And then we'll do a bit of our yellow ochre. We're gonna mix all three of those guys together, and it'll create this gorgeous little sandy, rocky color, especially if we don't overdo it, right? You don't wanna have too much yellow ochre in there, otherwise it'll be too bright, and you don't wanna have too little, otherwise it'll be too dark. It's all about a personal preference. Now, we'll come in here, I'm gonna scrape up any little bit of that from anywhere, come out and just decide maybe that sunlight is reaching out here, just so lightly letting it drag across all that darkness. And our canvas is gonna pick up all the paint that it wants. Pull it down in that direction, come a different way. Right, maybe this guy, sliding down like this. Little things, they don't all have to be the same, they don't all have to match. And this guy starts coming down like this, just crazy, just crazy bit back in there that got hit up by the sun, right? Remember, if that's all lit up, we could have some shadowing back behind here. So we don't need the whole thing to be lit, just a couple little bits off the edge, right, that are dragging back around, keeping all that deep darkness back in there. Oh, guys, that's kind of neat. Couple little pieces get lit up in between. Look at that. You just immediately just dump out this whole gigantic mountain. All right, watch this. See, we come down like this. Bang. Whip that bit of rock down in there, right? However you want yours to look is exactly how it's going to look. It's going to end up coming down here in front of our bit of trees and stuff too. It's going to be very cool. So let's go back in. We need to make a few little adjustments just so this guy's not just a perfectly straight line. There we go. Gorgeous. Just like that. Look at that, guys, right? And the very little amount of paint that's still left on the knife will create all these little shadowy bits as you go back a little further. So neat. Remember, this painting's available for sale. Go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com and search for number 872. It's a 24 by 30 inch summer landscape painting. It's gonna be fantastic. Very cool. A couple little trees back in there. And then remember, we're gonna have our little pathway come out. It's gonna come down here. It's gonna swing around the whole edge. Very cool. Have our grass come down both sides. Let's put a couple of trees over here. These guys need some friends. You don't just want to be sat out here alone the whole time, right? So maybe we stick a little further away guy way back there by making him a little smaller and then making less little details on his branchies, right? You don't need him to be so big as all the rest of the guys. Bang, little bit. Right, little top to him. And he's a little bit further away. All depends on where we start to pull his bottom out, right? Which doesn't sound the best. Pull out your bottom. Pull out your bottom right now. Everybody get your bottom out. We're gonna pull him out. Come over here, let's do another guy up top. Just like that. Maybe he's sat up on top of that little thing. Just the teeny tip of the brush, just on the corner. I'm trying to make it to where you guys can see it, right? Just the corner. And then we start popping out the little branchies, and the brush will make the little shapes for us if we're holding it correctly, right? And putting enough pressure, enough practice, right? Never gonna make it perfect on your first go, so don't try. Now leave this whole big open space over here for a much bigger tree, about 3 times the size of these guys, and we're gonna pull them down in, right down into the foreground of our scene. Now why don't we get a little, you know what we could do? Let's take this guy and put a little sticky tree in there. Just push harder and harder as you go down. Pop in your little trunk, just like that. So easy to do, these little guys, right? Oh, you know what? We go right through the sun, or at least right next to him. Oh, he's going through it. Bang, caught a little piece. Caught a little piece of the sun. Boom, right there. Like field goal posts we got to go through. Sweet! That is awesome. Okay, now let's just kind of mush this guy in just a bit back there so we feel like we got a couple things behind him, in front of him, and this guy goes a little bit further off. Just a couple little tappy dabs, all we're doing, right? Little bits that are going to sit behind a bigger tree. We just want them to be back there to be far away. Now we're going to take those guys just on those little tappy bits that we did and pull them up, right? Makes them a lot softer, a lot further away in the distance, just like that. Wicked cool, you guys. It's wicked cool over here, right? Take this guy, you can even start to kind of tap at the base and create little bits of misty fog. All it does is just kind of soften our bit of our paint down, layer, you know what I mean? And then we can come in with whatever we want. Almost looks like we can just walk right up this whole thing, you guys. Wicked, wicked cool. You know what looks, I don't know why I'm holding my fan brush out like this either, but let's set that off to the side. You know what might look neat too, since we have all this rocky colored paint, if we come over onto this guy and instead of doing that, we're gonna have to put down a bit of our darkness first. There we go. Gotta bring our little guy back right in the front. There it is, right? Fill it in. A little bit of mushing onto there just to have a bit of paint that's gonna grab onto our highlights, right? That's all you gotta do, mush it up there. Fill that spot in. You can even take our brush and just very lightly, there we go, wrap it around the side, nice and dark, pull it down very slightly. Okay, now let's go back in with our brown and our yellow little highlights, just like that, and we're gonna decide where it's all lit, right? Not every piece is gonna be the same, doesn't all have to be the same amount of brightness or whatever, right? And as we pull down, these very cool little bits that start to happen, right? Leaving it very dark back here on the side. You don't have to highlight everything. We're not gonna see every piece of rock all the way around the backside of that guy, right? Now, let's get into some grass. Oh, the grass. Not that kind of grass, Cheech, okay? Let's get into some grass over here. Now, if I was gonna put some grass in, let's do a little bit of our sap green, a little bit of our phthalo green, just get them both on the brush. I'm gonna tap them in like that. Not having a whole lot, just gonna dab it in so we've got a little bit of color on the brush. And then we'll decide as we start tapping these guys in whether or not it's bright enough, dark enough, this, that, or the other enough, right? A little bit of green back in there. Now we'll come over here and we'll just start tapping down again, right? Just like a typewriter. Ding, come back up, a little bit lower. Ding, next line, a little bit lower. Ding, right? Starting to fill it in, getting all these little bits in there, that little bit of green as it comes down. This whole thing, we're gonna put our big old tree right here, so let's not do too much worrying about what these rocks are gonna look like, right? A little bit back there, very cool. Now, you're like, Josh, we can't really see the green though. It's very dark back there. Like what's going on? What's happening with this green grass, right? So all you have to do is wipe a little bit of that, or clean your brush off, get a little brighter color, and we'll go back and highlight our grass. It's gonna be awesome. Gonna be awesome. So, in order to do that, let's go back, dab into our brightest yellow, right? Get a little bit of that onto our brush. Doesn't have to be a whole crazy amount. And then we're gonna come back in, especially on the sunny side. Ooh, look at that. Those little typewriter dabs, right? Ding, right, just like that. And as you come down and you start to fill them up a little bit more, and a little bit more, and then we turn and we rotate, right? We'll come back over here, taking these guys. Where's our little grassy bits start to end is the question. Right? Little bits of land coming down from different ways, different places, different things, and like a pivot point, just like we do with our waves. You can come out, you can do all sorts of stuff back in here, right? Leaving little dark areas and everything else. And you could use a 2-inch brush, and it would probably go a bit faster, but you're also going to be covering up a bit more space and everything else, right? Just like that. It's a very soft little bit of our little grassy meadow back out there in the forest. Very cool. Very cool. Leaving those guys right out there, very bright. They're the closest thing out there to our bright spot of our sun, right? Okay, now, if we were gonna have a little pathway, maybe we had our path come out like that and be wrapped around. I'm gonna go very straight Right, maybe hit a spot over there, came back this way, and then we wrapped around in the front over here, and we got a little pathway we could walk through right back up to the end. Very neat. Take a bit of our same little brown back in here. Little bits, back and forth, side to side, scrubbing it in. Leaving lots of little dark areas, right? Doesn't have to be the most amazingly brightest, brownest thing you've ever seen. It's just a bit of dirt back there on the ground is all we need. Pulling it straight sideways when we get up closer to us makes it look more like a, you get these little high areas and low areas and little lips and bumps and all sorts of stuff. Very cool. Very cool. Now this guy, if we wrapped him around, right, literally, we could create his whole bit of path and it would come down around here and just, we can walk around this whole little thing. Be very, actually, we could even bring the whole path out this way, guys. That would be something we've never done before. And almost you could have like water running underneath. Oh, dudes. We could have water running underneath this bridge that we walk out across to get over. Oh man, that would be cool. That's a cool idea. Let's come back over here and make a couple more little highlighty details. Just shaking the knife, coming in different directions, pulling it down, little bright areas, little dark areas, and then maybe back in here. You want to be really jagged with it, right? And that way, the light's not going to reach every single spot all the way around into that darkest shadowy area back here. And you don't have to do anything to the back of your canvas, which is very cool. So let's see if we're going to have that bit. Maybe that rocky guy came down around here still, right? He worked his way down, met up with our little path. We could do lots of stuff, right? Maybe there was an opening right there where the water spilled out and then spilled down and ran across underneath our scene. Guys, it all depends on what we want to do, right? All depends on what we want to do. So tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? Remember, this one's available for sale. If you go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com, you can buy this one right now. Get it while you can, because somebody else might be looking at getting it too. And when it's gone forever. So let's see. Come over here with our bit of our dark color. We're gonna go make our little tree trunky branches out there off in the distance before we get too far away. So a lot of our odorless mineral spirits, which makes our brush very wet, very sloppy, and it allows the paint to transfer off of it very easily, right? It makes our little teeny tiny small little branches way off in the distance. Right? You want them to be like little lightning bolts almost, different little jaggedy little things, right? And of course, not too big. If you put them too big out there, then they're gonna look sort of funky. Just like that, coming in, popping off little things. They don't all have to be the same, remember. Don't all have to be the same size, or the same darkness, the same shape, or anything. Literally, don't have to be anything. They are whatever you want them to be, and that is it. That's how you're gonna do it. Hey, very cool. A couple little branchy bits, right? This guy actually probably needs a little longer one. I gotta have it like reaching out. It's like reaching out towards the other tree. They're doing like the God and the David thing, like that little spark, bam, right there. Moment of creation right here. It's actually kind of cool if we went down like that. Zink, they're about to do it. Oh, so cool. All right, now remember, depending on how big your branchies are, that determines on how thick your trunk can be as well. That's very cool though. They're like, bink. I should have had them do it right over the sun. That would have been fun. Okay, very cool. Let's toss in our bit of our, we could put some highlight on those trunks back there. All right, so we'll get a little bit of our brown. I'm gonna highlight the right side of this guy because the sun's over there. Just very lightly touching, and whatever brown comes off the knife and sticks to the tree is what it wants. And then we move up a little bit. Don't have to go the whole way, just have a little bit of highlight out there is all we need. All right, now we're gonna put them on the right side of this guy. Just tap it in, right? Touch it and move, touch and move, and you'll have this actual little bark. Because as we all know, right, when you touch that thick oil paint together and then you go to pull it apart, it leaves like little fingers that are trying to attach itself, right? If we mush it all together and you pull it apart, it leaves those little things out there. So that's what you're gonna be able to feel along the ridge of your little tree bark. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. So, all right, let's see. Let's do a bit more grass back in here. So we'll go back to our green, a little bit of our yellow, And we'll pop in a few little brighter bits down in here. Now watch this. These guys could literally roll their way over the edge, however you want to have it, right? And these whole little bits just dropping down. All depends on what we want to do with our little bit of our grass. How much of a rock do you want to show? You know what I mean? You want to come down over your bit of your path, not make it so straight. I mean, what do you want yours to look like? You want it to look overgrown? You want it to look however, right? It's totally up to you. Totally up to you, however you want to get it to look. Not up to us at all. Totally up to you. Bring this guy back in here a little bit. Tapping him in. Bing, bang, boom. Very cool. Just like that. Feed it in. Right? Taking him down here. Down towards wherever we think our little path might be. And see how I'm changing the angle now? It's getting more straight up over here because we're coming around that kind of bend. So I'm almost using this point as a little pivot point up here, right? Like we do with our waves. And that way it'll look like it's rounding itself, coming down at us from all different angles, right? Very cool. Now, with this path, guys, we could literally let it just whip it out this way, let it get really wide, right? Like we'd be crossing over this chasm of doom. Chasm of Khazad-dûm. Really cool. Okay, remember guys, start coming up with a name for this painting. What do you want to call it? And like I said, maybe we're going to have like a little bit of water pop out of right there. Just right there. So if we're going to do that, we got to prep it. We got to prep it for the water. So let's get the blue, right? Just the blue onto the brush. And let's say we had a little bit of our water just falling out from that little point back there behind the rocks. It kind of cut its way through those rocks and it's bleeding out underneath this whole bit of mountain, right? Very cool. Down like that. Then maybe it hit a spot and it went down like this. Fell over this way, right? Just prepping all that blue, getting it all ready for our little waterfall because we got to go over it with the white. All right, so a little bit of our blue in there, falls down. We get these cool little things. Take a bit of the mist, kind of mist it up a bit and have it out a little further than you need it to be, right? Very cool. Now we'll take our last little section, put it down underneath down here. Just making it blue over the black. There's no other undercolor there, right? It's just a clear medium that we put on to begin with. And now we can either have some misty bit of mist, or fog, or a little river running underneath. Got all sorts of things we can do. All sorts of stuff, guys. Now, as we go over it with our white paint, and we do this technique a lot with our seascape painting. So if you've never learned how to paint an ocean scene and you want to learn how, Paint with Josh is the best at ocean scenes you will ever get. There's not another person better in the world that'll teach you how to paint the ocean than me. So this is what we do with our ocean scenes. We do a lot of our undercolor technique. We're going to take this bit of white, go out, right over the side. See how it instantly turns blue like that? It's coming from underneath that rock. We're going to turn the brush over to the white side. Fall out again. Look at those little diamonds. Look at the craziness of it all, right? It's not perfect. And that's what you want. You don't want it to be perfect. Pull it back towards our little bit back there, and then we'll put a rock in front of it to show where the water's coming from, right? Now that we come down here, we can decide, maybe we hit right there. You don't have to hit wherever you think you need to or wherever your friends hit. Doesn't matter, right? All depends on yours. So bring it down like that. Come over from the side, and it fall down again, right? Totally up to us what we do with it. How bright it gets, how big it is, how much it falls, right? How far it goes. Totally up to us. Let's come back in here, above our line, right? Probably saving about a 1/4 inch right there. Coming back with our 2-inch brush, or 1-inch brush, sorry. Come over here, mix it up, and get that little bit of blue to interact with all the little bits around it, right? Little things, little bits, right? And this guy's gonna come back in there. Look at that little dark separator that we saved. Little teeniest bit of darkness back there. It's all you need. It's a little shadow underneath that stuff, right? Very cool. Take this guy over here like that. Very softly over the edge. We get to decide what it looks like, how many times you do it. Totally up to you. And then we're going to try to get a bit of that brightness to stick on the top. So an extra bit of white. Come over the top like that. A little bit more. There we go. There we go. There it is. There it is. Right there. That extra little piece. Ah, it's gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Perfect. Okay. Now, let's soften this guy back here just a little touch. Just a bit. Taking the brush, working it in. These little bits of misty action. A little bit of mistiness over there. You don't even know what's going on, right? Very cool. Now, Take that guy over to the side. Now we're gonna decide, are we gonna have a bit of water as it comes down and splashes down in here, right? Take our whole little bit, you can add a little piece of river right down in the bottom just by doing that. Cut your water off, wherever you think it came down and splashed, right? Take our big old 2-inch brush, make this guy nice and soft. Just by a lot of pressure, stretching it, lots of pressure. Just like that, right? Now, depends, do we walk across this little thing right here? Do we take our path and roll it around and add some little grass as it drops over the side? All up to us, what we decide to do. But I think it needs like one more big old just monster sticky tree in here. So we're gonna come in with a bit of our black and crimson and blue. And just like this, I'm gonna dump it in right here. I'm gonna push a little harder, a little harder, a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. Boom! It's gonna live right down there. Just a gorgeous little sticky tree, right? Doesn't need to be too humongous, but you wanna make him nice and dark. Plop him down just like that. And wherever you stop is where he lives, right? Gorgeous little thing. Now let's empty out that brush. It's got so much dark paint in it that we gotta get it clean. It's getting to the point where we can't do anything with it. There we go. I figured before washing it, we might as well use a whole bunch of it to fill up that space. Now we're gonna come in, we're gonna get a little of our odorless mineral spirits back onto our liner brush, back into a little pile on our palette, so we can make our little tree branches just like we did before. Right, it's gotta be very runny and very wet. That's why we hold the palette like this. Now we'll come out here. These guys can be a little bit bigger. They can go a little bit longer. You can push a little bit harder, right? All depends on what you want your little tree trunks, your little tree branches to look like. Maybe they cut across the tree in the back, right? All depends, but you wanna have enough of that little, our odorless mineral spirits on the brush to help it slide that far across the canvas, right? If you're trying to do it with a dry brush, it's not gonna go very far. Gotta have that wetness to the brush. Gotta have it. Maybe down in here, we'll pop in a little branch, straight through our bit of grass. Right? Gotta have the branch be nice and wet and sloppy though, or it's not gonna transfer off of the brush and onto the canvas. Right? You gotta cut through all that other color, all those little bits, and our little branchy action to happen down here. Very cool. The bottom one's always gotta be the biggest. All right, I'm gonna come down over there. Branching off like that. One pops out over here. That one off to the side. Just keeps growing on forever. Ooh, wants to come out right out there. There we go. That's a cool looking branch right there. All right, we'll tuck one out into the rocks. And remember, if you're going into these rocks, you gotta have a lot of paint onto the brush, a lot of paint thinner to cut through that bit of our rock, because all that thick paint is gonna try to fight against it. A couple little branchy bits. And as you run out of paint thinner, it's harder to make these little branchy actions. So go back, get more thinner on your brush. Don't try to force it. Get back in there and get your thinner on it. Very cool. Little guys. Little things everywhere. In every direction. Awesome. Very cool. Okay, now let's wash off that little brush. I don't think we'll need that guy for a while. Got our fan brush all washed off. Looks like he needs another dunk. There was so much darkness on there, didn't get it off on the first go. All right. That's a cool looking thing, guys. Now, while we still have this brown of our tree trunk, let's actually make it a bit brighter. Take some more yellow ochre, mix that yellow ochre into there, because now we're a little bit closer to us. We should be able to see things a little bit brighter. So it'll be a brighter color. And come in here, just start touching a little bit more of the paint onto the tree trunk itself, and then we're gonna climb up, right? Just touching, tapping at it. It makes these little cool little things. It'll leave little shadowy areas in between. It'll have all this texture to it, but you want to make sure you keep that dark line around each side, around the right side and the left side of the highlight, because you want it to look 3D. So it's got to have that bit of darkness around the whole bit, and you don't have to go all the way to the very top if you don't want to. Trust me, you don't got to go all the way up there. All right, now let's come into here. We'll take a bit of that same color onto the tops of some of our branchies out here. Just wherever it'll stick, just a little bit. Doesn't have to hit every piece of every branch. I just like having a little bit of color, especially towards the base. And that way it kind of helps your eye guide its way out that way, right? Now a little bit down here onto this guy, because he's much bigger, but he's also much thinner paint. So it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt to get them to stick on because of how thin we had to make it. There we go. A couple little dabs, right? If it doesn't work, go back, get some more, try it again, try it again, try it again, try it again. Little things, tap, 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 tap. Boom, perfect. A couple little brown bits out on them. Not every little piece is gonna be highlights. You don't have to worry about it so much. And what are we gonna do? Should we take our pathway and go this way, guys? What should we do? A bit of our yellowy grass back in here, just brightening up a couple little bits as it gets closer to us, right? Little things that can happen and fall over. Get all these little bits of action. Just really cool. Really cool. Now, before we get too far away, let's go back and cover over this guy. All right, coming over a piece of where that rock is, where that water's coming from. Go back with our bright color, our little rocky action, and try to cover just a touch of it. Doesn't need to be the whole thing, just a little bit of the rock, right? And you can always go back and even make them a little darker too. Add a bit more of that dark paint just to help dull it down. Anytime you want, doesn't all have to be the same. I always say that. Get it bright right up on the top. Oh yes, sweet. Now it looks like that river might have dug a hole through that rock. Come down here, come down there, and very cool. Now we gotta put a little piece down in here to fill in this last little section. So, a bit of our dark color again, our blue, crimson, and black. Mix that section up, just like that. All nastily and gross. Get it in there. Right, come up into here so we cover over some of our rocks, some of the waterfall. You can still see some of the blue pile of water back there, right? Don't have to cover up everything. Out like that, a little bit of our darkness down in there. Very cool. Now, depends on how far you want to go, right? Maybe I take my guy and come out here into the water. Just like that. Keep it nice and dark. It's like a big old boulder down there. All right, now we'll come in with our dark color. Well, our brighter color. There we go. Dropping little things down, pulling it in different directions. All depends on what you want to see, not me. All about your little rock. And pull it down like that. Very neat, right? Little boulder sat out there. Very cool. Very cool. Even take this guy and slide him out down here. Have all sorts of, you can have a whole nother piece of land right down there with a bit of grass kind of growing down in front. Very cool. Just like that, guys. Now, let's take our path. What's the consensus on the path, I wonder? I wonder. Somebody's gone fishing. Oh, I love this one. So cool. So cool. So, you guys let me know if you're watching over on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button and give me a follow, subscribe. Thank you, Jeannie. I love you. Beautiful, says Allie. Doghead Mountain, I dig that. I like it. We got the bridge over the water, they say. Bridge over troubled water. Now that we've got this rock down here, though, I don't think a bridge is really going to work. It's not going to be the same. It really won't be. So, what we're going to do instead is we're going to drag it off to the side like we had initially planned, and then we'll throw some bits of flowers and stuff that hang down over the edge. Just like that. Bit of our darkness coming down. All right, we get to decide where our little pathway goes. I really don't think having a, you know what I mean? It's not going to look right to come out and down. We're going to have to literally cover over, you know, it gets smaller back there and then it gets bigger as it gets towards us. So we'd have to cover over like all of this. And I don't want to cover over that much. There's too much prettiness out there. All right, so again, we're going to come side to side, long strokes with that scraped up paint. Pull it off over here. Gonna get darker and darker behind the little bit of grass. Very cool. And then we can decide what we want our little pathway to look like. The brighter and brighter and brighter that we make it, the more it's gonna stand out. Right? The more paint we put on there. There we go. Oh yeah. All right. Now let's take this guy very lightly. Start to swipe him over from side to side. Boom, just like that. Getting farther away in the darkness. In the darkness. Ooh, guys, this gives me an idea, actually. Oh, this so gives me an idea. So gives me an idea. We only got 6 minutes left on the show. Could we do 6 minutes worth of work? Right here. If we came up and around and connected to this path. All right, that's it. You guys wanted a bridge? You getting a bridge. You getting a bridge. So saith Josh. We're going to add some more little things over here too. So, okay, it may not be a bridge. It just may end up being part of the land. But we're gonna make up a bit more of that darker color, some crimson, blue, and black. We got 5 minutes and 31 seconds before the timer goes off, guys. So let's get rocking and rolling. I mean, the timer really has no say on what we do. I just like to try to keep the shows around an hour. That way we don't bore you too bad for too long. You don't have to listen to my stupid voice for too long. Come out here with that darkness, right? Now we're gonna start getting wider and wider and wider. And I'm telling you, see how much water we're gonna lose? See how much we're gonna lose when we come over? You wanted the bridge though. So this is all on you guys. You wanted this bridge. So now you gotta take it. You gotta take your medicine. Look at all that we're gonna lose. All that action. And it's gotta come down to at least right here. So we're gonna miss the majority of it. But like I said, you guys wanted the bridge. This is what you get. You gotta take your medicine now. You wanted it. You asked for it. Here it comes. We're pulling straight side to side. All right, covering over all that stuff. Just all of our dark, all over all that brightness. And then, oh, this is gonna look cool. This is gonna look cool. It's gonna be cool, guys. I'm gonna have to brighten it all up, get a bit of the dark underneath. Very cool. Okay, so coming down underneath here again with that dark paint, just like that. Mix it down, be very dark, and then we're gonna go over it with the brush. And then we're gonna go over it with the knife, and then we're gonna go over it with the brush again, and the knife and the brush and the knife and the brush. So, very softly, very softly. Woo, Nelly. All right, getting further and further and further away. Now, just like that, let's come back with our knife, and we're gonna make up a bit more of our brownie color with our two browns and our yellow ochre. We're gonna mix those guys down, just like so, like we had them before. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, but just sort of how we had them before. There we go, a bit more of our yellow ochre. Just have those brighter yellow bits. Bing, bang, boom, spread it out just how I like it. Scrape it up across, and let's come down this way. And as we're coming down straight and straight and straight and straight, that's what it's gonna look like right there. A little bit of a land bridge. A little bit of a land bridge. Right as we go across. Now, it's very thick with the paint down here, so we got to be very thick with laying it on. But just like that, we'll be able to walk right out and cross this thing. And we might want to do the whole thing, guys. Like literally, I don't know that the bridge, you know what I mean? Like we might want to do the whole smash in just dirt and kind of get rid of that flat bridge look, but all depends. Let's get a little bit more of our brightness down in here. Let's see what we end up looking like. And the further we go over here, the better it's going to be, is my opinion, if we cover up some of this stuff. And we get a little wider as we get towards us. I'm not trying to lose all the water either, but there we go. That's going to look better. It's got to get wider as it gets towards us. Wider and brighter, you know what I mean? So we can walk out onto it. Very cool. Very, very cool. Very cool. There's bits out here. Bang, bang, boom. I like it. I like it. All right, if we kind of round over the edges just the smallest little bit, it'll look like the rock is kind of hanging over that way. You know what I mean? That's looking a little bit better. All about the directional pulls of the brush, right? If you don't have the right directional pulls and you don't have the right amount of depth, like down here, it really should be darker, because then we'll be able to take our brown and go over the side a bit. See what I mean? Which just helps it create more, yes. That, guys, that was it. Right there. If I can get some real brightness, like right in here, woo! That's money. Come out, walk right over the edge. Now, let's get a bit more of our darker color, because back here, it looks like there'd be like a bit of a darker step or some sort of disconnection back in between those guys. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I like that. That's a cool one. A bit more of our dark back in here, just to add our little steps and different things. And this one's going to take a long time to dry. Let me tell you guys. This one's going to be it's probably the most thickest, most textured painting I've ever done in my life. We're just going to keep adding texture into these rocks too. This painting's gonna take a while to dry is my thought. Just as much brown as we can possibly get in there. Very cool. You guys. So remember, you can get this painting. It's probably gonna weigh 10 times more than a normal Paint with Josh painting, but you can get it at paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Search for number 872, and you'll be able to find this bad boy right out there. A cool little land bridge across the water. Across the water. Now we need to come back in now and make this guy. Look at that. No, we finished. We finished, guys. We finished right on time. Tell the producer we finished on time. Getting a little bit more of that brightness back through here, right? Wherever you pull that white is where you're gonna see the water running through. Very cool. So what do you guys think of that land bridge? Literally, that was a mission. When I very first came across the thing right here, and I started putting the paint down, I was like, oh, I just totally screwed up this whole painting. I was like, that's it, and it's ruined. Way to go, Josh. You totally ruined it. And then the more I did it, and then when we finally added those rounded bits off the side, that makes it look like there's, you know, more rock there. That's cool. That's cool. So, what do you guys think about that land bridge? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Looks amazing. Holy cow, left for 30 minutes. Yeah, you can't do that. Can't leave for 30 minutes and come back. Ooh, moss on the bridge. Oh, that reminds me, we gotta add some more flowery bits down the side over here. Just a couple little flowery sections. So guys, remember, this painting's available for sale. I don't know if anyone's bought it already. I think it's listed around $4.95, and that is 40% off its normal price. And I think its normal price about $8.25, something like that for this size. So, if you want something beautiful at 40% off, you better get your butt over to paintwithjosh.com and then find my Etsy link, which is right at the top of paintwithjosh.com, and take yourself over to the page, over to the store, and get this painting while you can. We're gonna take our little flowery bits, gonna drop them off. A couple bushes up in here, really scooping up the paint, hiding the rest of that grass, letting this stuff fall down and drape down into the water. Very cool. All right, let's put a little bit, actually, if we stick one right on the edge right here, covering up a bit of the path, right? The path goes behind the flowers. That just adds one more little bit of depth right there. Now, wash that brush off so we can come back and just throw some gorgeous colors right onto the top of it, guys. Just gorgeous. All right, let's see. Now, if we've got all that green and yellow out there, I say we get some yellow ochre, which is like a goldish color. Pop that guy in. A couple little bits, right? Little flowers growing off. Flip the brush over to the other side. Pop those little red sections in there, leaving little sections of dark in between our colors. It doesn't have to have every bit. Doesn't have to have all the same colors. Take a bit of our cad yellow in here. Pop that guy out. Right, let them grow down however far they want to grow. Little bits dropping down as far as you can get them. Right? Gorgeous. And it covers over our path. So our pathway goes back around the flowers. See what I mean? Just like that. You have to put stuff off in the distance sometimes. You're never going to see every single piece of every bit all the time, right? You got to put some stuff out there in the distance. Very cool. Very, very cool. I love those silhouetted trees off in the back. I love the sticky trees. I just love everything about this one, man. It's going to look so good in the gallery. Oh, my God. Oh, it's going to look good in the gallery. So, you guys start coming up with a name for this painting. And if it doesn't sell, we'll take it down to City of the World Art Gallery. And we'll hang it up in the gallery over there. I'm going to be the featured artist in August. So, I'll have like 30 slots to hang up paintings. I've only got about 20 paintings because you guys keep buying all my paintings during the live show, which is a perfect problem to have. But it means I got to work a little harder, get some more paintings out into the old atmosphere. So we're going to clean off these brushes. You guys are going to tell me where you're watching, or sorry, you're going to tell me what do you want to name this painting. And maybe if you come up with the best name that I've ever heard, then we'll just name it that. And we'll give you a shout out. Everybody else will follow you. We all know how it works, right? Whoever gets pinned gets followed. If you answer a question correctly, you get followed. And everyone else follows all the people that are supposed to be followed. So, just like that. All right. Let's see. Woo! I probably have paint on my face everywhere. It's fine. No worries. No worries. So we're going to get a little of our odorless mineral spirits back in there like we were going to make some little branches on our trees, except now we're going to go out and put the signature in the painting. In the form of these birds, they go into every single painting as part of the signature. Now, who knows what the 3 birds represent? Because a lot of times people will ask in the comments, like, I see these 3 birds in all your paintings. Why do you only ever do 3? Why is it never less than 3? Why is it never more than 3? So, who knows and who can explain it to whoever is new in the comments and may not know the answer? Who's going to tell them what those 3 birds mean to the Paint with Josh audience, right? Just like that. And in case nobody knows, or nobody tells you, they represent my family. So, myself, my ex-wife London, and our gorgeous daughter, they go into every painting as part of the signature. This one turned out amazing, and I can't wait to see what kind of titles you guys have named for it. So, let's see what we got for titles, guys. What do we got for title? What do we got for going on YouTube over here? Somebody talking? Let's see. This one posted in another media? Yeah, this one's here on YouTube. It's on Facebook and it's on TikTok right now as well. Let's see. No rails to walk along? Yeah, no. You gotta have sure-footedness to cross this little river. A little sure-footedness. Path to Paradise. Sunset. I dig it. Dancing in the Sky. Rainbow Valley. Starburst Mountain. Oh yeah, we need a little bit of some subtle splash down here. I almost forgot. See, this is why I like painting live in front of you guys, because then you tell me. Because I would have gone back and I would have looked to go take a photo of it and been like, oh, now I gotta go back and put it on the easel. Get some little splashers in there. Just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. All right, it's not too much water. And then with our little bit of pressure, just mixing it up, smallest little bit. Trying to leave that little dark separator underneath. Create our little bit of misty, splashy foam back in there. And then what's really fun is every so often, especially when we do a waterfall up close, you spray in a bit right off of our fan brush, right onto the waterfall, and you get this gorgeous little natural spray happen back there. It's very cool. Now just very lightly over our very thick paint right here. We're gonna swipe away all those little watermarks. Now very lightly going over this, it help it dry just a couple days faster, maybe a couple hours faster, I'm telling you. Just to softly go over it in the same direction, barely even picking up any paint on the brush. See what I mean? You still see that blue in the center? So we didn't use a whole lot of paint, but it just softens it down, helps it get a little bit drier, a little faster. All right, clean that brush off. We got it signed, we got it titled. This one's number 872, guys. That means we're catching up on number 900. What's that one gonna look like is my question. I never know what they're gonna look like. So, let's see, we'll come up with the names. Clean this little palette off right here real quick. Scraping up all this nonsense. There we go. Lots of colors used today. It was a gorgeous little painting. So, help me name it. Tell me what we're gonna name this sucker right now. I'm gonna come back and look for the best name in all the comments. In all the world. Best name in all the world. There we go. Put that guy down. Little wipey action, and then we're all set. Wipe it off. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I used to like really take the time to clean my palette, make sure it was like perfectly fresh for the next painting, and then I was like, what am I wasting all this time for? So let's see these names, guys, and then we're gonna end the stream over on one of these platforms, so then we can check the store. So. Let's see. Majestic Hollow, says Heather Smith over on YouTube. That's a good little title. Moment of Peace. Bear on the Rise. I like that one. Sunset Fountain. I dig that one too. Ethereal Flow. Path to Paradise. Bridge to New Beginnings, says Ariana over on Facebook. Grizzly Falls. Creation Valley. Let's see. Can you save the leftover mixed paint and create a gray hue? Used for underpainting block in before highlight. You could save your leftover mixes, but I normally don't have enough to save, and therefore we just let it, sort of let it fly, just throw it away, really. So Eagle Ridge, because the eagle's nest. I see what you're doing. Sunset Mountain Valley. Let's see. Up. There we go. That's a good Sunset Mountain Fantasy. Bear Creek Falls, Bear Creek Bridge, Meadow Falls, Path to Paradise. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome with the titles. Into the Wild, I like that one. Into the Wild. Bear Passage. Footbridge Falls, I dig that one too. I dig that. Kodiak Sunset. Oh, Rainbow Canyon, Morning Glory. Golden Hour at the Falls, I dig that. Canyon Mountain, Three Birds. Sunset on Bear Mountain. I like that one. Sunset on Bear Mountain. That is a good one. Pathway to Heaven, says Sean. Bear Glory, says Christine. Grizzly Springs, says Jamie. October Sky, I like that. Kim Law says Starburst Mountain. I like that. Someone did say that. Let's see. Can I see my half round brush? Sure. It looks a lot like a makeup brush. It's just these are the Bob Ross half round brushes. Looks a lot like a makeup brush if you were to, mine gets all beat to death, but yeah, that's the half round. It's just like that. So, all right, let's pick a name, guys, and then we'll get out of here. Check the store. Actually, let's say goodbye to YouTube. So, thank you guys all on YouTube for watching and hanging out on the first episode of the 4th season of Friday Night Freestyle. Turned out fantastic. And if you want to get this one, head over to my Etsy store, paintwithjosh.etsy.com. You can buy shirts. You can buy hats. You can buy all sorts of stuff over there. Plus original paintings and posters and canvas prints and bags, luggage, everything. So go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Check out the store. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day. And bow. See you later, YouTube. Get them out of here.